This is Other Tower, a Pizza Tower mod consisting of 4 unique levels designed entirely in the Create Your Own Pizza level editor. On the surface, Other Tower may seem like just another addition to Pizza Tower's seemingly endless supply of custom levels. However, if you look past the fancy visuals and amazing level design, you'll discover a whole wealth of hidden storylines, twisted secrets, and several genuinely cinematic moments. I've honestly been obsessed with this mod ever since I played it on stream over a month ago, and now I think it's finally time to tell you all what exactly makes it so good. Before we start though, how about you go ahead and click that subscribe button down there? Go on. I'm waiting. Okay, admittedly I don't have a way to actually tell if you subscribed or not, but if you did, thanks. Anyways, enough stalling. Let's go ahead and begin our journey through Other Tower. Upon selecting the tower, you're immediately dropped into a very ominous set piece. The entrance door is located in this rainy exterior area with a large sign welcoming you to the other tower and saying that apparently they serve everything except pizza. Walking to your right will lead you inside the tower, where you'll be greeted with an extremely large area shrouded in darkness. In the background, we can see multiple layers of abandoned buildings and ruins stretching farther than the eye can see, and this really makes you wonder what exactly happened to this place for it to end up like this. However, there's no time to think about that now, as in the middle of the room there's a single door leading to what I can only assume is the first level. I guess anywhere is better than this depressing place, so let's go ahead and enter the door. Welcome to Carl Palace, the opening level of Other Tower. Right as we enter the level, you'll likely notice two main things. The first thing is that Column Carl, Other Tower's replacement for Pillar John, is located right behind a solid wall next to the entrance, meaning that we're gonna have to find a way to loop around and reach him. The second thing you may notice is that this place is just as, if not even more rundown than the hub world. Judging by the name, this is the place that Column Carl calls home, and unfortunately, it also seems that it's long been neglected by its owner and fallen into disarray. There's garbage in the background, garbage in the foreground, garbage enemies, garbage cans, and even garbage that you can tear through with your bare hands. We can see based on certain decorations and enemies that Column Carl is a major alcoholic with a literal degree in alcoholism, so it's pretty safe to say that this is probably one of the main reasons for this place being such a dump. Moving on to gameplay, the main gimmick of this level, this throwable sponge, keeps in line with the whole grungy garbage theming by allowing you to scrub away some of the grime. This sponge is basically just a reskin version of the junk object from some of the older Pizza Tower demos, and it's used to destroy these large green snot blocks that impede your path throughout the level. You can also destroy these snot blocks by throwing regular enemies into them, but the hitbox can be kinda weird, so it's really not worth it most of the time. Aside from the sponge and trash can lids, this level is pretty sparse in terms of gimmicks, which makes sense considering it's basically supposed to be Other Tower's John Gutter equivalent. Eventually, after making our way through several more sponge puzzle segments, we find ourselves on the other side of the wall we saw when we entered the level. Considering everything we just witnessed, I honestly think that killing this guy is an act of mercy at this point, so let's go ahead and get it over with. Now that we've triggered pizza time, I'd like to take a quick second to talk about Other Tower's amazing soundtrack. The entire OST, including all level themes, secret themes, and the 2 escape themes, were composed by the mod's main director SamWow, and this is genuinely some of my favorite music to ever come out of anything Pizza Tower related. I honestly don't know what it is with Pizza Tower mods and having the greatest OSTs I've ever heard, especially when it comes to making new escape themes, but they somehow knock it out of the park every time. As per usual, I'll be playing some of my favorite tracks in the background of each section of this video, and I highly recommend you check out the full OST after the video. Besides the banger music, the only other notable part of the escape sequence is this one section about halfway through that heavily resembles the starting room from the early test build of Pizza Tower. The Other Tower wiki mentions that this area is supposed to imply the early test build was thrown in the garbage just like everything else in this level, which I think is pretty hilarious. The only thing left to do now is to unlock the Jerome door, which is hidden behind this snot block near the level's entrance. This door now leads to a brand new restroom themed treasure room, with the treasure for this level fittingly being a literal piece of shit. Overall, this level is already a very strong introduction and really helps to set the more serious tone that will remain for the entire tower. Now that we're finished with the first level, we're gonna need to explore the hub world a bit more in order to progress. Looking around the room we're currently in, we can find a few pizza grannies, with this one even providing us us with a very small lore dump. I'll let you pause if you want to read it, I have no idea what it means. Heading down this hallway to our right will lead to a much brighter area, and this is where the majority of the tower's content can be found. There's still plenty of stuff to discover in this hub world, but first I want to hop into the second level of this mod, Boy Bayou. This level has very unique theming, being heavily inspired by the US state of Louisiana. That sounds like a joke, but it's not, I swear. The level starts off in the aforementioned bayou, with decorations being strung up celebrating the Louisianan holiday of Mardi Gras. This starting area also seems to be in the middle of a graveyard, with the background being filled with tombstones and the rideable corpses from Waystard making a return. This level actually has some of my favorite examples of repurposing old Pizza Tower mechanics into new level gimmicks, including using the corpses to surf against these water currents and having to let go of the run button on these patches of still water in order to destroy rats. In terms of enemies, the main type are these shrimp guys, which makes sense since we're in a bayou. After traversing the bayou for a bit, we come across this long drop leading into what seems like some sort of ancient catacombs. There are several skulls and caskets scattered around the area, as well as statues depicting certain characters in the Pizza Tower universe. Oh hey, looks like there's some missing posters that seem to be looking for a shrimp guy. I wonder what happened to him. Anyways, eventually we reach a stream of water that spits us out of the catacombs and into a large area with a single building in the middle. This building seems to be a very old manor, with a sign above the entrance door reading Gabe's Grave Grub. The front door currently has a lock on it, but luckily to the right of the house we can find a docked fishing boat with the key placed on top, only guarded by a single sleeping police officer. Upon entering the building, we're instantly greeted by several cages, ghost shrimp, and even a menu that exclusively offers shrimp. You know what? I think I know why it's called Gabe's Grave Grub now. It doesn't take a detective to figure out that this restaurant is taking these seemingly sentient shrimp enemies and cooking them alive for people to eat, leaving their souls to wander the building forever. Just in case you were feeling a bit left out of all the shrimp murder, there are also a few sections involving the ghost transformation, meaning that Peppino and the shrimps can be dead together. One of these ghost sections is also where you'll find the level's treasure, which is a deliciously morbid looking shrimp sandwich. Section by section, we make our way past piles and piles of dead shrimp until ending up at this final room with a giant dinner table. This table is filled to the brim with every single type of shrimp cuisine you can imagine, and at the head of the table is none other than Carl. Hey buddy, can I interest you in becoming a vegetarian? While escaping, we take a different route through the building involving running through a dark basement and an absolutely demented looking attic, all while encountering more and more vengeful shrimp spirits. This all culminates in Peppino doing a sick ass jump out of the top story window, placing us back outside the cursed manor and allowing us to run back the way we came. One thing I kind of neglected to mention with Carl Palace is just how good each of these levels feel to play. I'm usually not that great at judging whether a level has good gameplay or not, but even I can see that the gameplay in these levels is at least on par with those seen in Pizza Tower. Just throwing this in here because a level can have fancy visuals and still suck due to bad level design, but Other Tower thankfully doesn't have this problem. Boy Bayou is definitely a lot better than I first anticipated, and the small bits of environmental storytelling really contributed to this. Having the level start out dropping subtle hints of recent disappearances before thrusting you into a full-on shrimp slaughterhouse was a really awesome experience, and it undoubtedly elevated it above your average custom level. However, these small elements of storytelling absolutely pale in comparison to the next level on our list, as this level presents us with what's basically a full-on playable narrative. Our next stop on this adventure takes place in a level known as Idaho Volcano, and you might want to get comfortable because this level is kind of insane. To start, the level's entrance drops us off at the very front of a stationary train. It seems like this train is currently parked in a train station, with a conductor who looks sort of like Mario casually reading a newspaper. Throughout this first section, we have to travel between train cars to get to the caboose. It seems like the train is carrying a lot of hay bales and other farm goods, as well as beds of red hot coals for some reason. Once we reach the end of the train, we can step off into the actual station, which introduces us to the fact that these hay bales are actually flammable. These hay bales are another unused Pizza Tower mechanic brought back for this mod, and they're used to both help and hinder progression throughout the level. Stepping out of the station, Peppino quickly decides based on this crudely drawn map above the door to head over to the nearby town, which we later find out is called Hash Town. At first, this seems to be your standard middle of of nowhere type place, with the entire town consisting of a church, a clock tower, and a couple of other miscellaneous buildings. However, upon closer inspection, you'll quickly start to notice that things aren't quite as they seem. The entire town is laden with imagery involving Peppino, despite the fact that he had never visited before, as well as messages of impending doom involving the nearby dormant volcano. Now, seeing all of this, my first thought was that there may be some cult-like activity going on in this little town, but honestly, that seems a bit far-fetched considering that okay, never mind, there's literally just a giant sacrificial altar in the middle of the town. This thing has been built in the shape of Peppino and seems to contain a sacrifice in the form of this poor police officer. Traveling a bit past the statue, you can find a police car parked outside of this small building, and looking inside, you'll see that the cop trapped in the statue was actually investigating the town and its potential cult activity. Well, it certainly seems like he found what he was looking for. There seems to be a key on his desk as well as a map pointing to the church, so putting two and two together, it's time to backtrack and see what it unlocks. Back in the church, we can find a single locked door, and opening it leads us to this creepy basement area spiraling down into the ground. At the end of the room is a hole with red light coming out of it, and since I had absolutely nothing better to do, I went ahead and jumped in. After a short fall, we now find ourselves inside the Idaho Volcano. This place is filled with lava, which although harmless, will absolutely destroy your P rank if you're not careful. There are several of these heaters down here which you need to activate in order to break these blocks in a similar fashion to insert name here. And it seems that by doing this, Peppino is also making the volcano hotter. If we take a small break to look around a bit, we can find several more mysterious drawings and messages written on the walls of the volcano. A lot of them seem to reference some sort of prophecy where an Italian chef arrives in the town and causes the volcano to erupt by activating all the heaters. Now, I've never really been the superstitious type, so I don't see how that could possibly— oh shit! So yeah, as it turns out, the prophecy was actually real and we just single-handedly caused the volcano to erupt. As the situation quickly escalates to apocalyptic proportions, we're forced back into the volcano for a brief section where you have to avoid the heaters in order to progress. This is where we finally find the level's treasure, a delicious looking Idaho potato. There's no time to waste, however, as after this section we're shot directly up through the silo and back into the town, which is now flooding with lava. This part of the level really does a great job at conveying the unbelievably desperate scenario you're currently in, as you're forced to carefully platform across these once populated buildings now slowly sinking into the boiling sea. As we run by the giant statue of Peppino, we see it burning with the cops still inside, so it seems the volcano is finally claiming its sacrifice. If you manage to reach the train station in one piece, you'll see that even it is not immune to the absolute chaos of this escape sequence, as trains are speeding by in the background in a desperate attempt to leave the area. Fun fact, you can actually enter this speeding train by pressing up right as the last car passes by, which will cause this cutscene to play before dropping you off further into the escape. It seems that while attempting to escape the town, the entire train tipped over and crashed, forcing us to climb through the flipped cars in order to progress. After a tense sequence, we finally reach the front of the train, dance on the conductor's corpse, and exit the level, leaving the fate of the small town ambiguous. Let's be real though, they probably all died. This level was by far the most elaborate in this entire tower in terms of theming, and I thoroughly enjoyed all of it. The tiny hints of an ongoing story, all culminating in one final action sequence at the end, all built up so naturally, and I found myself actively replaying the level just to admire all the tiny details. Idaho Volcano is honestly one of, if not the best custom Pizza Tower level I've ever played, and I have to commend the other tower devs for pulling something this amazing off in the CYOP editor. Now that I've finished singing this level's praises, it's time to tackle the final level in Other Tower, and somehow things are about to get even crazier. The final level in Other Tower should seem pretty familiar to anyone who's played Pizza Tower before. Hey, wait a minute, this is literally golf. This level is named Golf 2 Hell on Turf, and its title card seems to share a lot of similarities to the original Golf's title card, all the way down to it being a Doom parody. The gameplay seems to be pretty similar too. I mean, the first couple of rooms are basically the same as Golf 1, just with slightly different terrain. Oh well, I mean, I guess I could use a bit of a relaxing golf level considering how crazy this tower has been so far. This might even be kinda fun. Just a few more hits and I can get this easy primo berg. Oh god damn it. Yeah, so if you hadn't already noticed, Golf 2 is in fact not a relaxing chill level, but is instead a mashup of golf and by far the most stressful level in Pizza Tower, war. Instead of just hitting greaseball between noses and big cheeses at your own pace, you'll now be scrambling trying to launch him through a gauntlet of enemies, projectiles, and explosions, all while the dreaded war timer continually ticks down. The main path of the level mimics the structure of war, with it starting out in an open battleground before transitioning into an ominous lab, only this time everything is covered in bright green turf and the signature greaseball branding. Along the main path there are 5 optional courses you can play through just like in the original Golf, with each one rewarding you with a top-end and 40 seconds of additional time upon completion. Each of the courses focuses on one of the level's main gimmicks, with the recruit course having you mow down rows of pizza soldiers, the ball and missile courses each focusing on the related transformations, and the chase course forcing you to chase Greaseball as he gets hit around by a bunch of burger enemies. The 5th and final course is the Grease course, and unlike the others, this one doesn't seem to have a particular theme, instead just dedicating itself to pure chaos. Every single one of the level's gimmicks is used here, forcing you to scramble back and forth as you try to kill all of the rats blocking your way, all the while your timer, which is probably extremely low at this point, continues to deplete. To make things even more disturbing, the entire room seems to be made of melted greaseball corpses, and one look at the background art is enough to make me never want to sleep again. All of this combined with the absolutely insane music that only plays in this room is enough to create a uniquely horrific atmosphere that really makes you want to get out as soon as you possibly can. After completing the final course, we can make our way to the Jerome door conveniently located nearby, and upon opening it, we can find what is possibly the greatest treasure of them all, an actual genuine primo berg. By the way, I haven't really been mentioning P ranks for levels since most of them have been reasonably easy, but I do want to shout this one out for being the hardest of the 4 by far. Thankfully, this difficulty isn't due to bad balancing or level design, and is instead just caused by the chaotic gameplay and a pretty tight time limit. The second lap portal only gives you around an extra minute of time, so combined with the 30 to 40 seconds you'll lose doing the secrets and treasure, you'll really have to make sure that you don't make too many mistakes if you want to make it out alive. Even though Golf is probably one of my least favorite levels to replay in regular Pizza Tower, Golf 2 somehow manages to take the same elements and make them 100 times better through execution alone. In a tower full of solid, grounded, and atmospheric levels, it's kind of a fun idea to have a level that's simply meant to be a crazy spectacle and nothing else, and Golf 2 definitely fills those shoes. Golf 2 marks the end of the main levels, but if you've ever watched any of my reviews, you'll probably be able to guess that that's not quite the end of the mod. There are still a multitude of areas and features to discover outside of levels, and in order to find all of them, I think it's time we revisit the hub world. To start, you can find a clothing dresser all the way to the right of the main room. If you scroll past all of the regular Pizza Tower clothes, you'll see that Other Tower actually adds 22 brand new clothing patterns, each of which reference levels and other aspects of the mod. These patterns are all available as soon as you enter the tower, but I'd assume in the full version of the mod you'll probably have to unlock them. My favorite pattern out of all of these is definitely this one, which is literally just an extremely compressed version of the entire Wario Land 2 tile set. Moving on, this door in the center of the hub that looks like the entrance to a restroom leads to a room labeled Other Shower, and hopping into either one of these showers will allow you to switch between playing as Peppino or the Noise. Although every level in this tower was primarily designed to be played as Peppino, you can also play through all of them as the Noise, with Carl Palace even having a new song similar to the Noise's jam-packed radical anthem. Just as a side note, I find it kinda funny that Idaho Volcano is kinda ruined narratively when played as the Noise, since the cult's prophecy specifically mentions Peppino as being the one to set off the volcano. Although canonically, I guess it would still be pretty in character for the Noise to just blow up a volcano because he felt like it. This chef hat shaped door should instantly be recognizable from Pizza Tower, as it leads to Other Tower's achievement room. Each of the 4 main levels have 3 chef tabs tasks connected to them, with the challenges ranging from completing levels quickly to avoiding killing certain enemies to even discovering specific secrets. These achievements don't actually count for anything because AFOM doesn't currently support chef tasks, but they still provide some fun challenges if you want to try them out. The final door in the hub has the old door sprite from the demos with a sign pointing to it reading the Hall of Shame. Entering it leads to a large room full of statues, and this area essentially acts as an interactive credit sequence for the mod. Each developer has their own statue with a message attached saying their name and role on the team, and each statue does something unique ranging from damaging you, giving you points, and even being a reskinned junk object that you can throw around. If you interact with this statue on the far side of the room, a short arena style minigame will activate and start spawning waves of enemies from each of the 4 main levels. After beating the final wave, you'll gain access to one final secret room, this time containing credits for all of the mod's playtesters. Just like in Pizza Tower, there are also a few secret rooms that you can access by breaking hidden blocks in the walls of the hub. The first secret can be found by running at Mach 3 into this specific part of the wall by Boy Bayou, and it leads to a room with a single level entrance in the middle. This entrance actually allows you to play an early version of Boy Bayou, complete with the old sprites and level design, which is honestly a really cool Easter egg. There's also another secret room, this time accessed by running up the wall, but I don't really know what to say about this one. You can find one more secret entrance by shoulder bashing through this wall near Idaho Volcano, and it leads to a room full of shrimp spawners with a single handcuff in the middle. This room is apparently a reference to an ongoing joke in the community about a level called Capitalism Causeway, and this joke actually has some pretty interesting lore behind it. From what I've been told, the level was completely made up by a member of the Other Tower Discord server named Marvin Phillip, but eventually the joke became so widespread that the developers just straight up decided to make it an official level in the upcoming Game Maker port of the mod. Oh yeah, also if you super jump through this hole in the ceiling, you can find yet another secret room, this time containing a pizza granny and Family Guy. One last thing I should mention is that if you go to the very end of the Hall of Playtesters and run up this wall, you can find a key hidden in one of the ceiling tiles. This was originally used in a prior update to unlock another secret room as part of a challenge, but it seems that in the latest version of Other Tower, this room was removed, leaving the key without a purpose. Now there's only one more area that I have to talk about, and this one's actually really sick. If we head back to the entrance of the tower and super jump in this specific spot, Peppino will fly upwards straight into a hidden UFO. This UFO leads to a separate hub world full of 3 new levels, but these levels are a bit different from the rest. See, a couple months ago, a new update for Other Tower was released called the Alien Update, and it basically turned each of the main levels into elaborate shitposts, except Carl Palace for some reason. All of these alien levels have been ported over to the latest version of Other Tower and are accessible via this UFO. The first of these levels goes by the name of compared to Boy Bayou, this is basically just a completely different level at this point, with practically every single sprite being altered to be alien related. The entire Gabe's Grave Grub segment has been replaced by a section that's literally just in space, with awesome art and gameplay that I'll affectionately refer to as bad. The only other thing of note is that this level's third secret can only be accessed via one of these stupid breakable block mazes, truly peak level design. Idaho Volcano comparatively received the smallest amount of changes of the bunch, with the main difference being the addition of this computer overlay as well as several references to Windows XP and other old internet artifacts. Finally, Golf 2.49 is literally the exact same level as Golf 2, only with all of the war elements removed and replaced by more wholesome imagery. This level actually has 2 different versions accessible in this area, with the main one featuring an old version of Greaseball that has worse physics and manual aiming, and the other version found in the nearby secret room letting you play with a normal Greaseball. Oh hey, it looks like these levels have their own achievements too. Let's check some of them out. You know what, never mind, just skip to the conclusion. So now that we've seen everything that this version of Other Tower has to offer, the biggest question here is what's next? Well, currently, the Other Tower devs are hard at work porting the mod over to Game Maker Studio, as well as designing several new levels for future updates. The mod's director Samwow was kind enough to send me some footage of what they have so far, and I have to say it's looking pretty great. Here's a clip showcasing early footage of the previously mentioned Capitalism Causeway, and and even though there are currently no visuals, the level already looks pretty interesting. There are several of these hilarious new granny enemies at the start which leave behind a skeleton after being killed, and I can already see some brand new level gimmicks including matching cards together as well as these horses which absolutely launch you across the screen. There's also some footage in here of a partially ported Idaho Volcano, and it showcases an absolutely terrifying replacement for Pizza Face who moves in jerky erratic steps as opposed to constant targeting. I always love when a mod replaces Pizza Face with something unique, so I think this is a really cool addition. Based on these sneak peeks, I can definitely tell that the Game Maker version of this mod is going to be something special, and if the new levels are anywhere close to the level of quality on display in the CYOP version, it may be in contention for one of the greatest mods of all time. I really can't overstate how amazing every single aspect of this tower is. The gameplay, visuals, music, lore, and even the optional content are all unbelievably high quality and genuinely feel on par with Pizza Tower most of the time, which is something I don't say lightly. I definitely encourage you all to play the mod for yourself in order to get the true Other Tower experience, since I can only really convey so much in a single YouTube video. I promise you won't regret it. Anyways, that's gonna be it for me. Have fun, and I'll see you all in the next video.